Hiranyakashipu Tatsaha Shilatankanakalaye Ito Nrsimha Bharato Nrsimho Yato Yato Yamitato Nrsimha Bahir Nrsimho Hridaye Nrsimho Nrsimhamadim Sharanam Prapade Kamakara Kamala Bhare Raka Manduta Sringa Lalita Hiranyakashipu Danubringa Keshavadita Hari Rupa Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. So we're reading Krishna book.
There's a mark, yeah.
There is a mark. I'm just looking for chapter. So it's chapter 58, the deliverance of the demon Bhimasura. Bhimasura, it's not Bhimasura. Sorry, that was a defense. Hare Krishna.
There's a new demon.
There's a new demon. No, that's a defense. Sorry about that. Hare Krishna. You know, it's a bit anyway. Okay, Hare Krishna. The deliverance of demon Bhimasura. Look, you did Harinam today. That's all I can say. Anyway.
It's okay.
If I don't see you tomorrow, all the best. Anyway. Okay, then, so the deliverance of the demon Bhimasura. Hare Krishna. Okay, Krishna, 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 hey. Krishna, 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 hey. Krishna, 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 Rakshamam. Krishna, 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 Pahimam. Rama, Raghava, Rama, Raghava, Rama, Raghava, Rakshamam. Krishna, Kesava, Krishna, Kesava, Krishna, Kesava, Pahimam. Very good. Very good. Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto the Lord, who is always present with four symbols, namely his conch shell, disc, lotus, and club, and who is the Lord of all demigods. Please accept my respectful obeisances unto you. My dear Lord, you are the super soul, and in order to satisfy the aspirations of your devotees, you descend on the earth in your various transcendental incarnations, which are just appropriate to the devotee's worshipful desire. Kindly accept my respectful obeisances. My dear Lord, the lotus flower grows out of your navel, and you are always decorated with a garland of lotus flowers. Your eyes are always spread like the petals of the lotus flower, and therefore they are all pleasing to the eyes of others. Your lotus feet are so soft and delicate that they are always worshipped by your unalloyed devotees, and they pacify their lotus-like hearts. I therefore repeatedly offer my respectful obeisances unto you. You possess all religion, fame, property, knowledge, and renunciation. You are the shelter of all five opulences. Although you are all-pervading, you have appeared as the son of Vasudeva. Please therefore accept my respectful obeisances. You are the original Supreme Personality of Godhead, the supreme cause of all causes. Only your Lordship is the reservoir of all knowledge. Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto you. Personally, you are unborn. Still, you are the Father of the whole cosmic manifestation. You are the reservoir and shelter of all kinds of energies. The manifested appearance of this world is caused by you, and you are both the cause and effect of this cosmic manifestation. Please therefore accept my respectful obeisances. My dear Lord, as for the three gods, Brahma, Vishnu and Shiva, they are also not independent of you. When there is a necessity of creating this cosmic manifestation, you create your passionate appearance of Brahma. And when you want to maintain this cosmic manifestation, you expand yourself as Lord Vishnu, the reservoir of all goodness. Similarly, you appear as Lord Shiva, master of the mode of ignorance, and thus dissolve the whole creation. You always maintain your transcendental position in spite of creating these three modes of material nature. You are never entangled in these modes of nature like ordinary living entities. Actually, my Lord, you are the material nature, you are the Father of the universe, and you are the eternal time that has caused the combination of nature and the material creator. Still, you are always transcendental to all these material activities. My dear Lord, O Supreme Personality of Godhead, I know that earth, water, fire, air, sky, the five sense objects, mind, the senses, and their deities, egotism, as well as the total material energy,
Everything animate and inanimate in this phenomenal world rests upon you. Since everything is produced of you, nothing can be separate from you. Yet, since you are transcendentally situated, nothing material can be identified with your personality. Everything is therefore simultaneously one with you and different from you. And the philosophers who try to separate everything from you are certainly mistaken in their viewpoint. My dear Lord, may I inform you that this boy, whose name is Bhagadatta, is the son of my son, Paumasura. He has been very much affected by the ghastly situation created by the death of his father, and has become very much confused. Being afraid of the present situation, I have therefore brought him to surrender unto your lotus feet. I request your Lordship to give shelter to this boy and bless him with your lotus feet. I bring him to you so that he may be relieved of the reactions of all the sinful activities of his father. When Lord Krishna heard the prayer of Mother Earth, he immediately assured her of immunity from all fearful situations. He said to Bhagadatta, "Don't be afraid." Then he entered the palace of Paumasura, which was equipped with all kinds of opulences. In the palace of Paumasura, Lord Krishna saw 16,100 young princesses who had been kidnapped and held captive there. When the princesses saw the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, enter the palace, they immediately became captivated by the beauty of the Lord and prayed for his causeless mercy. Within their minds, they decided to accept Lord Krishna as their husband without hesitation. Each one of them began to pray to Providence that Krishna might become her husband. Sincerely and seriously, they offered their hearts to the Lord, to the lotus feet of Krishna with an unalloyed devotional attitude. As the supersoul in everyone's heart, Krishna could understand their uncontaminated desire, and he agreed to accept them as his wives. Thus he arranged for suitable dresses and ornaments for them, and each of them, seated on a palanquin, was dispatched to Dwarka city. Krishna also collected unlimited wealth from the palace, along with chariots, horses, jewels, and treasure. He also he took from the palace 50 white elephants, each with 4 tusks, and all of them were dispatched to Dwaraka. After this incident, Lord Krishna and Satyabhama entered Amaravati, the capital city of the heavenly planet, and they immediately
entered the palace of King Indra and his wife Sachidevi, who welcomed them. Krishna then presented Indra the earrings of Aditi. When Krishna and Satyabhama were returning from the capital city of Indra, Satyabhama remembered Krishna's promise to give her the plant of the Parijata flower. Taking the opportunity of having come to the heavenly kingdom, she plucked the Parijata plant and kept it on the back of Garuda. Once Narada had taken a Parijata flower and presented it to Krishna's senior wife, Shri Rukmini Devi. On account of this, Satyabhama had developed an inferiority complex. She also wanted a flower from Krishna. Krishna could understand the competitive womanly nature of his co-wives, and he smiled. He immediately asked Satyabhama, "Why are you asking for only one flower? I would like to give you a whole tree of Parijata flowers." Actually, Krishna had purposely taken his wife Satyabhama with him so that she could collect the Parijata with her own hand. But the denizens of the heavenly planet, including Indra, were very irritated. Without their permission, Satyabhama had plucked a Parijata plant which is not to be found on the earth planet. Indra, along with other demigods, offered opposition to Krishna and Satyabhama for taking away the plant, but in order to please his favorite wife, Satyabhama, Krishna became determined and adamant, so there was a fight between the demigods and Krishna. As usual, Krishna came out victorious, and he triumphantly brought the Parijata plant, chosen by his wife to this earthly planet, to Dwarka. After this, the plant was installed in the palace garden of Satyabhama. On account of this extraordinary tree, the garden house of Satyabhama became extraordinarily beautiful. As the Parijata plant came down to the earthly planet, the fragrance of the flower also came down, and the celestial swans migrated to this earth in search of its fragrance and honey. King Indra's behavior toward Krishna was not very much appreciated by great sages like Shukadeva Goswami. Out of his causeless mercy, Krishna had gone to the heavenly kingdom, Amaravati, to present King Indra's his mother's earrings, which had been lost to Bhamasura, and Indra had been very glad to receive them. But when a flower plant from the heavenly kingdom was taken by Krishna, Indra offered to fight with him. This was self-interest on the part of Indra. He offered his prayer, tipping down his head to the lotus feet of Krishna, but as soon as his purpose was served, he became
a different creature. That is the way of the dealings of materialistic men. Materialistic men are always interested in their own profit. For this purpose, they can offer any kind of respect to anyone. But when their personal interest is over, they are no longer friends. This selfish nature is not only found among the richer class of men on this planet, but is present even in personalities like Indra and other demigods. Too much wealth makes a man selfish. A selfish man is not prepared to take to Krishna consciousness and is condemned by great devotees like Sukadeva Goswami. In other words, possession of too many worldly riches is a disqualification for advancement in Krishna consciousness. After defeating Indra, Krishna arranged to marry 16,100 girls brought from the custody of Bhamasura by expanding himself into 16,100 forms. He simultaneously married them all in different palaces in one auspicious moment. He thus established the truth that Krishna and no one else is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. There is nothing impossible for Krishna. Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is all-powerful, omnipresent and imperishable. And as such, there is nothing wonderful in this pastime. All the palaces of the more than 16,000 queens of Krishna were full with suitable gardens, furniture and other paraphernalia, of which there is no parallel in this world. There is no exaggeration in this story from Srimad Lakshmiji. Krishna used to live with them in different palaces, and he treated them exactly the same way an ordinary man treats his wife. We should always remember that the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, was playing exactly like a human being, although he showed his extraordinary opulences by simultaneously marrying more than 16,000 wives in more than 16,000 palaces. He behaved with them just like an ordinary man, and he strictly followed the relationship between husband and wife required in ordinary homes. Therefore, it is very difficult to understand the characteristics of the Supreme Brahman, the personality of Godhead. Even demigods like Brahma are unable to probe into the transcendental pastimes of the Lord. The wives of Krishna were so unfortunate that they got the Supreme Personality of Godhead as their husband, although their husband's personality was unknown even to the demigods like Brahma.
In their dealings as husband and wife, Krishna and his queens would smile, talk, joke, embrace, and so on, and their conjugal relationship ever increasingly developed. In this way, both Krishna and the queens enjoyed transcendental happiness in their household life. Although each and every queen had thousands of maidservants engaged for her service, the queens were all personally attentive in serving Krishna. Each one of them used to receive Krishna personally when he entered the palace. They engaged in seating him on a nice couch, presenting him with all kinds of worshipable paraphernalia, washing his lotus feet with Ganges water, offering him betel nuts, and massaging his legs. In this way, they gave him relief from the fatigue of being away from home. They saw to fanning him nicely, offering him fragrant, essential floral oil, decorating him with flower garlands, dressing his hair, asking him to lie down to take rest, bathing him personally, and feeding him palatable dishes. Each queen did all these things herself and did not wait for the maidservants. In other words, Krishna and his different queens displayed on this earth an ideal household life. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport of the 58th chapter of Krishna, deliverance of the demon Bhaumasura. Should I? Chapter 59, talks between Krishna and Rukmini. That's a sweet one.
We know, it's good.
Once upon a time, Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the bestower of all knowledge upon all living entities, from Brahma to the insignificant ant, was sitting in the bedroom of Rukmini, who was engaged in the service of the Lord along with her assistant maidservants. Krishna was sitting on the bedstead of Rukmini, and the maidservants were fanning him with chamaras, yak-tail fly whisks. Lord Krishna's dealings with Rukmini as a perfect husband are a perfect manifestation of the supreme perfection of the personality of Godhead. There are many philosophers who propound a concept of the absolute truth in which God cannot do this or that. They deny the incarnation of God or the supreme absolute truth in human form. But actually, the fact is different. God cannot be subject to our imperfect sensual activities. He is the all-powerful, omnipresent personality of Godhead, and by His supreme will, not only can He create, maintain, and annihilate the whole cosmic manifestation, but He can also descend as an ordinary human being to execute the highest mission. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, whenever there are discrepancies in the discharge of human occupational duties, He descends. He is not forced to appear by any external agency, but descends by His own internal potency in order to re-establish the standard functions of human activities and simultaneously to annihilate the disturbing elements in the progressive march of human civilization. In accordance with this
principle of the transcendental pastime of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, He descended in His eternal form as Sri Krishna in the dynasty of the Yadus. The palace of Rukmini was wonderfully finished. There were many canopies hanging on the ceiling with laces bedecked with pearl garlands, and the whole palace was illuminated by the effulgence of valuable jewels. There were many flower orchids of bell and chameli, which are considered the most fragrant flowers in India. There were many clusters of these plants with blooming flowers, enhancing the beauty of the palace. And because of the exquisite fragrance of the flowers, little groups of humming bees gathered around the trees, and at night the pleasing moonshine glittered through the network of holes in the windows. There were many heavily flowered trees of parijata, and the mild wind stirred the fragrance of the flowers all around. Incense burned within the walls of the palace, and the fragrant smoke leaked out of the window shutters. Within the room were mattresses covered with white bed sheets resembling the foam of milk. The bedding was as soft and white as milk foam. In this situation, Lord Sri Krishna sat very comfortably and enjoyed the service of Rukminiji, who was assisted by her maidservants. Rukmini was also very eager to get the opportunity to serve her husband, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. She therefore wanted to serve the Lord personally and took the handle of the chamara from the hand of the maidservant and began to move the fan. The handle of the chamara was made of gold, decorated and bedecked with valuable jewels, and it became more beautiful when taken by Rukmini because all of her fingers were beautifully set with jeweled rings. Her legs were decorated with jewels and ankle bells, which rang very softly between the pleats of her sari. Rukmini's raised breasts were smeared with kunkuma and saffron. Thus her beauty was enhanced by the reflection of the reddish color emanating from her covered breasts. Her high hips were decorated with a jeweled lace girdle, and a locket of great effulgence hung on her neck. Above all, because she was engaged in service of Lord Krishna, although at that time she was old enough to have grown-up sons, her beautiful body was beyond compare in the three worlds. When we take account of her beautiful face, it appears that the curling hair on her head, the beautiful earrings on her ears, her smiling mouth, and her necklace of gold, all combined
to shower rains of nectar. And it was definitely proved that Rukmini was none other than the original goddess of fortune, who is always engaged in the service of the lotus feet of Narayan. The pastimes of Krishna and Rukmini and Dwarka are accepted by great authorities as manifestations of those of Narayan and Lakshmi, which are of an exalted opulence. The pastimes of Radha and Krishna in Vrindavan are simple and rural, distinguished from the polished urban characteristics of those in Dwarka. The characteristics of Rukmini were unusually bright, and Krishna was very much satisfied with her behavior. Krishna had experienced that when Rukmini was offered a parijati flower by Narada Muni, such a Bhama had become envious of her co-wife and had immediately demanded a similar flower from Krishna. In fact, she could not be pacified until she was promised the whole tree. And Krishna actually fulfilled his promise. He brought the tree down to the earth planet from the heavenly kingdom. After this episode, Krishna expected that because such a Bhama had been rewarded by a full tree of parijata, Rukmini would also demand something. Rukmini did not mention anything of the incident, however, for she was grave and simply satisfied in her service. Krishna wanted to see her a bit irritated, and therefore he schemed to see the beautiful face of Rukmini in an irritated condition. Although Krishna had more than 16,100 wives, he used to behave with each of them with a familiar affection. He would create a particular situation between himself and his wife, in which the wife would criticize him in the irritation of love, and Krishna would enjoy this. In this case, because Krishna could not find any fault with Rukmini, for she was very great and always engaged in his service, he smilingly, in great love, began to speak to her. Rukmini was a daughter of King Bhishmaka, a powerful king. Thus Krishna did not address her as Rukmini. He addressed her this time as the princess. My dear princess, it is very surprising. Many great personalities in the royal order wanted to marry you. And although not all of them were kings, all possessed the opulence and riches of the kingly order. They were all well behaved, learned, famous among kings, beautiful in their bodily features and personal qualifications, liberal, very powerful in strength, and advanced in every respect. they were not unfit in any way, and over and above that, your father and brother had no objection to such a marriage. On the contrary, they gave their word of honour that you would be married with Shishupal.
What's your time?
No?
Yeah.
Thomas.
The marriage.
Page, yeah.
Hmm?
One more page. Mhm.
The marriage.
The marriage. Uh-huh.
The marriage.
The marriage was sanctioned by your parents. Shishupal was a great king and was so lusty and mad after your beauty that if he had married you, I think he would always have remained with you just like your faithful servant. In comparison to Shishupal, with his personal qualities, I'm nothing. This starts a very funny part.
Oh. You got the blessings.
We read it. We read it.
I know.
It used to be so funny. And you may personally realize it. I am surprised that you rejected the marriage with Shishupal and accepted me, who am inferior in comparison to Shishupal.
Cannot read.
Yes, that's the one. Yeah. I try my best, okay? I think myself completely unfit to be your husband because you are so beautiful, sober, grave, and exalted. May I inquire from you the reason that induced you to accept me? Now, of course, I may address you as my beautiful wife, but still, I may inform you of my actual position, that I am inferior to all those princes who wanted to marry you. First of all, you may know that I was so much afraid of Jarasandha that I could not dare live on the land. This is the best humor. And thus I have constructed this house within the water of the sea. You want to read this?
Yeah, I'm not You're in ecstasy.
I mean, please, yeah.
It is not my business to disclose this secret to others. But you must know that I am not very heroic. I'm a coward and I'm afraid of them. Still, I'm not safe because all the great kings of the land are inimical to me. I have personally created this inimical feeling by fighting with them in many ways. Another fault is that although I am on the throne of Dwarka, I have no immediate claim. Although I got the kingdom by killing my maternal uncle Kamsa, the kingdom was to go to my grandfather. So actually, I have no possession of a kingdom. Besides that, I have no fixed aim in life. People cannot understand me very well. And what is the ultimate goal of my life? They know very well that I was a coward boy in Vrindavan. People expected that I would follow in the footsteps of my foster father, Nanda Maharaj, and be faithful to Srimati Radharani and all her friends in the village of Vrindavan. But all of a sudden, I left them. I wanted to become a famous prince. Still, I could not have any kingdom, nor could I rule as a prince. People are bewildered about my ultimate goal of life, and they do not know whether I'm a coward boy or a prince, whether I'm the son of Nanda Maharaj or the son of Vasudeva. Because I have no fixed aim in life, people call me a vagabond. Therefore, I'm surprised that you could select such a vagabond husband. Besides this, I'm not very polished, even in social etiquette. A person should be satisfied with one wife, but you see that I've married many times, and I have more than 16,000 wives. I cannot please all of them as a polished husband. Sorry. I think we have to... Okay, Hare Krishna, thank you. That's amazing, Hare Krishna.
The fun will continue tomorrow.